Have you ever wondered why, despite all our modern and medical miracles, you and like almost everyone you know still feel tired or inflamed or just totally stressed out?
Yeah, it's such a common feeling today, isn't it?
It really is. And, usually when we talk about a medical diagnosis, there's this expectation of precision,
Yeah.
like engineering.
Right, yeah. You break your arm, the x-ray shows that jagged white line, and the doctor just points and says, well, there it is.
Exactly. It's super comforting, honestly. We like things to be visible, to be
Oh,
categorized.
absolutely. It's binary. The bone is broken or it's not. The intervention is clear.
Right. But then you look at modern chronic illnesses like the fatigue, the brain fog, the joint pain, the anxiety, and suddenly that x-ray machine is completely useless. We're looking at a diagnostic landscape that is, quite honestly, just murky.
It is the absolute definition of diagnostic muddy waters. I mean, on paper, the symptoms seem completely disconnected. A patient presents with, say, depression, adult onset acne, and high blood pressure. And traditional medicine treats those as three entirely separate events that just, happen to be occurring by coincidence in the same body.
Exactly. And that is exactly what we are tearing into today. We are doing a deep dive into a really fascinating book called Good Energy, The Surprising Connection Between Metabolism and Limitless Health.
Such a great read.
It really is. It's written by Dr. Casey Means, who is a Stanford-trained head and neck surgeon, and she actually walked away from a highly prestigious surgical career along with her brother, Callie Means.
Which is just a huge pivot. I mean, she saw firsthand that the traditional system wasn't answering the most important question.
Right, the why.
Exactly. Why we were getting sick in the first place rather than just, how to medicate the sickness once it finally arrives.
Yeah, and that brings us to our mission. Today we'll explore 7 of the book's biggest lessons. After every lesson, we'll also learn one small practical habit you can begin today. Let's begin with key takeaway number 1.
Let's get right into it.
Key takeaway number 1. The central idea here is that the root of almost all modern chronic disease is a singular cellular energy crisis, not dozens of separate illnesses.
Right.
Okay, let's unpack this because it honestly challenges everything about how we experience healthcare. I mean, we operate in these intense silos.
Really.
Like if your stomach hurts, you go to a GI doc. If you're depressed, you see a psychiatrist. If you have a rash, a dermatologist. Dr. Means argues that sending patients to a different specialist for every body part completely ignores the identical root issue.
What's fascinating here is the sheer scale of the metabolic dysfunction driving this. The data in the book shows that 93% of American adults have a broken metabolism.
Wait, 93%?
93%. It's staggering. Now, metabolism isn't just about whether you can eat a donut and not gain weight. It is the fundamental mechanism of how our bodies convert food into energy. That happens in the mitochondria, right? The powerhouses of our cells. But right now, those powerhouses are just completely overwhelmed by our modern environment. They're churning out what the authors call bad energy, which manifests as cellular exhaustion and systemic inflammation.
Wow. And, the human cost of missing this root cause is devastating. Dr. Means shares this really heartbreaking story about her own mother, who actually passed away from pancreatic cancer.
Yeah, that was a tough section to read.
It was. But if you look at her medical history, her mother went through this incredibly normalized progression of illness. First, it was high blood pressure, then high cholesterol, then prediabetes.
Right, totally standard progression.
Yeah, and for decades, the siloed medical system just medicated each symptom separately without ever, connecting the dots that her cellular engines were actively failing.
It's so sad. If we think about that siloed healthcare system, it is literally like frantically patching a tiny leak on the deck of a sinking ship. You're polishing the brass, you're fixing the sails, all while completely ignoring the massive gaping hole in the hull below the waterline.
Man, that's such a good analogy.
Right. You're busy, you feel like you're practicing medicine, but the ship is still going down because the fundamental energy production of the cells is broken.
So what's one small habit we can build from this?
Practical habit number 1. Know your 5 basic metabolic biomarkers.
Okay, and what are those exactly?
That is your fasting glucose, triglycerides, HDL cholesterol, blood pressure, and waist circumference.
Okay, but if the goal is fixing the mitochondria, why start with these 5 standard tests?
Because they are the ultimate leading indicators of that hole in the hull. You can ask for these standard tests at any annual checkup. It basically shifts you from being a passive patient simply reacting to your symptoms, to being the proactive CEO of your own biological data.
Oh, I like that. CEO of your own data.
Yeah, if those numbers are trending in the wrong direction, you know your mitochondria are struggling long before a chronic disease actually sets in.
Now let's move to key takeaway number 2.
Okay.
Key takeaway number 2. Food isn't just calories. It is structural material and chemical information instructing your cells on exactly how to behave.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the sheer volume of what we consume is just staggering. We take in roughly 70 metric tons of food in a lifetime.
70 tons! That's unbelievable.
I know, right? And that's not just thermal energy burning off in a furnace. Every single bite you take is literally 3D printing your body.
Right.
And even more critically, it acts as a chemical code, signaling to your microbiome and your genes exactly what to do.
Which is wild because we tend to hear the word microbiome and just think of digestion. But Dr. Means points out that this ecosystem effectively acts as an invisible soul, like controlling our mood, our systemic inflammation, and our baseline health. And the book points to this major study from the NIH, led by Dr. Kevin Hall, that completely reframes how we look at processed foods. They locked participants in a research facility for 4 weeks to control every single thing they ate.
Yeah, it's one of the most revealing nutritional studies ever done. They gave one group a diet of ultra-processed food and the other a diet of unprocessed food. But here's a kicker. They matched them perfectly for calories, sugar, fat, and fiber.
Right. And if you're listening to this, you might be thinking, oh, I eat a turkey sandwich on wheat bread for lunch. I'm not eating fluorescent orange cheese puffs. But even those seemingly normal foods are often hyper-processed.
Oh, absolutely.
In the study, the group eating the ultra-processed diet naturally consumed 500 extra calories a day compared to the unprocessed group. It led to rapid weight gain. The physical structure of the food itself actually bypassed their satiety signals and sent a chemical command to overeat.
Exactly. The extreme processing basically pre-digests the food for you. It's so soft and it absorbs so quickly that it doesn't trigger the gut stretch receptors or release the fullness hormones like GLP-1 in time.
So you just keep eating.
Right. Your brain is structurally fooled into thinking you haven't eaten enough.
It kind of makes me think of the 3 little pigs. If you're building a house, or in this case, 3D printing your body, you can build it out of cheap, ultra-processed sticks, or you can build it out of sustainable whole food bricks.
Right.
The sticks might look like a house temporarily, but they have no structural integrity. If you want to keep the big bad wolf of chronic disease away, you need the bricks. You simply cannot build a resilient cellular matrix out of industrially processed ingredients.
Yeah, because the structural integrity just fails the moment it's put under stress.
So what's one small habit we can build from this?
Practical habit number 2. Eliminate all liquid calories. Swap out sodas, sports drinks, or fruit juices for water, black coffee, or unsweetened tea.
Now, why are liquids the absolute priority here over food?
Because liquid sugar, specifically fructose, acts as a molecular tidal wave. Like when you eat an apple, the fiber matrix slows down the fructose absorption.
Makes sense.
But when you drink juice or soda, there is no fiber. It hits your liver instantly. The liver can't process that much energy all at once, so it panic stores it as ectopic fat.
Ectopic fat.
Yeah, which is fat stored directly inside and around your organs where it does not belong. This instantly drives insulin resistance. Plus, honestly, it requires absolutely zero cooking skills to just change what you pour into your glass.
That is very true. Now let's move to key takeaway number 3.
Right.
Key takeaway number 3. We need to talk about the toxic 3 ingredients that are actively destroying our mitochondria.
Ah, yes, the unholy trinity of the modern American diet.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The book targets refined added sugars, refined grains, and industrial seed oils. And I have to push back a little on how we talk about that last one, because the marketing is just genius.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Vegetable oil sounds entirely benign, like vegetables are good for you. But the authors point out these aren't from broccoli or spinach. They are harsh, industrially extracted chemicals.
They absolutely are. We're talking about soybean, corn, and canola oil. And what's fascinating here is the severe chemical mismatch they create in our biology.
How so?
Well, these industrial seed oils create an omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acid ratio in our bodies that is skewed as high as 20-to-1.
Wow. And historically, humans evolved closer to a 1-to-1 ratio, right?
Exactly. Omega-6 fats are precursors to inflammatory pathways,
Yeah.
which, you need for things like healing a cut. But when you have a 20-to-1 ratio, This massive influx of highly unstable fats acts like a spark plug for chronic systemic inflammation everywhere in the body.
Which sounds terrible.
It is. It directly damages the delicate mitochondrial membrane.
And the collateral damage of this is terrifying, especially for kids. Because these toxic ingredients are cheap and shelf-stable, they make up the foundation of almost everything in the middle aisles of the grocery store.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Because of that, 18% of teenagers today have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. That is a condition pediatricians almost never saw 50 years ago, and now it's in nearly 1 in 5 kids.
And if we really want to understand the mechanics of why this is happening, we have to look at how these toxic fats physically alter the cell's ability to receive fuel.
Yeah, the book's explanation for this is brilliant. It's like throwing sand into the cellular gears. When you eat, your body produces insulin, right?
Right.
Insulin's job is to knock on the door of the cell and turn the lock to deliver the glucose inside. But when your cells are packed with this toxic ectopic fat, it physically distorts the cell membrane. It jams the lock.
Right, the key won't turn.
Exactly. Insulin is knocking, but the key no longer fits. So the glucose is stuck in your bloodstream, forcing your body to pump out even more insulin. That is the literal physical mechanism of insulin resistance.
The fuel can't get in, the cell starves, and the excess glucose just circulating in the blood causes microscopic damage to your blood vessels.
So what's one small habit we can build from this?
Practical habit number 3. Swap industrial seed oils, like soybean, corn, or canola oil, for stable, natural fats like olive oil, avocado oil, or butter.
Okay, but does swapping the oil really unjam that cellular lock?
It does, surprisingly, because our cell membranes are continually regenerating, and they're literally made from the fats we eat. Swapping your cooking oils immediately improves the structural integrity and flexibility of your cells, allowing those insulin receptors to function properly again.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and it's just a one-time grocery swap. You just reach for a different bottle on the shelf.
Now let's move to key takeaway number 4.
Let's do it.
Key takeaway number 4. Extreme food cravings are actually a desperate cry from your body for actual nutrients.
This raises an important question. Why are humans the only species on Earth with an obesity epidemic? You know, you don't walk into the wild and see obese giraffes or overweight gazelles.
Well, I mean, unless they are scavenging out of a dumpster behind a fast food joint, which kind of proves the point.
Yeah. Huh, exactly.
Yeah.
Precisely. In their natural environment, the wild provides whole, nutrient-dense foods. Humans have an obesity epidemic because we are simultaneously overfed with empty calories, but cellularly starving.
It's a massive biological paradox. But the authors explain that cravings aren't a lack of willpower. The body drives you relentlessly to keep eating because it is desperately searching for specific micronutrients like magnesium or zinc or antioxidants.
Right.
It expects those nutrients when caloric energy comes in, but ultra-processed foods have been stripped of them, so your brain simply overrides your fullness cues and says, hey, keep eating. We haven't found the building blocks we need to run the mitochondria yet.
It's basically an evolutionary survival mechanism that has been completely hijacked by the food industry.
It's exactly like having a broken fuel gauge in your car that reads empty even when the tank is completely full, except the tank is full of the wrong fuel, say diesel instead of unleaded.
Oh, good point.
The car keeps demanding you pull over for more gas because the engine physically cannot use what is currently sloshing around in the tank.
That is exactly what insulin resistance and nutrient deficiency feel like to the brain. It's just screaming, I have no usable energy, feed me more.
So what's one small habit we can build from this?
Practical habit number 4. Build a good energy meal by prioritizing 30 grams of protein first and always pairing any carbohydrates with a fiber source.
Walk me through the mechanism there. Why do protein and fiber stop the cravings?
Because protein and fiber act as heavy anchors for your blood sugar. When you eat carbohydrates alone, they spike your blood glucose rapidly, which is then followed by a massive insulin release that just crashes your sugar levels an hour later.
And then you feel terrible.
Right, and that crash triggers an emergency craving for more sugar. Protein and fiber physically slow down the absorption of glucose in the gut, flattening that curve. And the best part is, anyone can add a handful of spinach or some almonds to their plate to get that fiber anchor.
That is totally doable. Now let's move to key takeaway number 5. Key takeaway number 5. Disrespecting our biological clock creates mass cellular confusion. So what does this all mean? We constantly obsess over food as our only source of energy, but light is a massive piece of metabolic health.
Oh, it really is.
Yeah.
It is arguably just as important as what's on your plate.
Really?
Yeah. Humans are diurnal organisms, meaning our entire biology is strictly programmed to be active and digest during the day and to repair and rest at night. Yet the average American now spends 93% of their time indoors.
93% again, that's awful. We are totally separated from nature's natural light signals.
We really are. And that separation causes cellular chaos. When natural sunlight enters the retina of your eye, it sends a direct electrical message to a part of the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus.
Okay, big word. What does that do?
That tiny area basically acts as the master biological clock. It tells every cell in the body exactly what time it is, which sets off a massive cascade of daytime metabolic activities. Cortisol release for alertness, insulin sensitivity for digestion, energy production.
Right. But because we are inside all day, we don't get that strong daytime signal. And worse, we are bathed in artificial blue light late at night, and we're eating well past sunset.
Which completely shatters our natural rhythm. The book highlights this stunning study showing that exposure to 200 lux of artificial light after the sun goes down, which is incredibly dim, by the way, just a standard living room lamp or a tablet screen.
Just a lamp? Wow.
It's just a lamp. That pushes back the body's peak melatonin secretion by a massive 90 minutes.
90 minutes. So you're trying to sleep, but hormonally the light has tricked your brain into thinking it's like late afternoon.
Exactly.
Imagine an orchestra trying to play a complex symphony, but there are two different conductors on stage. One is waving their baton, signaling that it's time to rest, clear out cellular waste, and repair the brain, while the other is screaming at the top of their lungs to digest food and burn energy.
Oh, I love that image.
The result isn't music, right? It's just exhausted, out-of-tune noise.
Mass cellular confusion. The timing of the energy matters just as much as the source.
So what's one small habit we can build from this?
Practical habit number 5. Get 15 to 30 minutes of natural sunlight outside within an hour of waking up.
Even on a cloudy day?
Yes, absolutely, even through clouds. Natural light is orders of magnitude brighter than indoor lighting. Photons travel 92 million miles from the sun, hit your retina, and physically flip the on switch for your daytime metabolism.
That's amazing.
Right. And it requires zero equipment, zero money. Just step outside your front door.
Now let's move to key takeaway number 6.
Number 6, let's do it.
Key takeaway number 6.
Yeah.
We must replenish the physical stressors that modernity took away from us.
This builds perfectly on the indoor problem we just talked about. Not only are we lacking natural light, we are lacking physical friction.
Yeah?
Sitting all day in a climate-controlled 72-degree room literally puts our mitochondria to sleep.
Because our bodies are adapted for a world that required effort just to exist, our ancestors constantly moved. They adapted to extreme heat and bitter cold. The book argues that without those gentle, constant physical stressors, our cellular engines just atrophy from disuse.
Exactly. When energy comes in but isn't demanded by the muscles, the mitochondria become gridlocked, producing harmful reactive oxygen species.
And the science on movement here is just crazy. The book brings up a remarkable study about walking. They found that people who took micro walks of just 1 minute and 40 seconds every half hour lowered their post-meal glucose spikes significantly better than people who did one single long continuous walk at the beginning of the day.
Which blows my mind. The total time spent walking was identical, but breaking it up throughout the day kept the metabolism constantly engaged, basically preventing the fuel from pooling in the blood.
It makes total sense if you think about it. Think about water. Stagnant water breeds disease, but flowing water stays clear and pure. Movement acts as the physical flow for your body's energy. If you sit at a desk for 9 straight hours, your energy pools and becomes toxic.
You absolutely have to keep the current moving.
So what's one small habit we can build from this?
Practical habit number 6. Take a 2-minute walk every hour, or a short walk immediately after a meal.
No, what is the actual mechanism making those tiny walks so effective for blood sugar?
Oh, it's brilliant biology. The simple act of contracting your muscles naturally opens up what are called the GLUT4 doors in your muscle cells.
Okay.
Normally, you need insulin to open those doors to let glucose in, but muscle contraction physically pulls glucose directly out of your bloodstream to be used as fuel, and it does this without needing any insulin at all.
Wait, really? No insulin?
None. It is a free mechanical bypass for your blood sugar.
That is so cool. Now let's move to key takeaway number 7.
All right, the last one.
Key takeaway number 7. This one is a massive paradigm shift. Fearlessness is the absolute highest level of good energy.
Yes. It is the ultimate software running on the hardware of your body.
We usually separate mental health and physical health, but psychology and biology are deeply physically intertwined.
So true.
The authors make this really powerful case that digital terrorism, the endless doom scrolling, the 24-hour news cycle, along with modern anxiety, is keeping us locked in a permanent biological state of survival mode.
Because your cells literally cannot tell the difference between a stressful email from your boss
Right.
and a physical predator chasing you.
That is wild.
Chronic stress triggers the exact same biological threat response as a terrible diet. It floods your system with the stress hormone cortisol. And cortisol's primary job in a crisis is to tell your liver to dump a massive amount of stored glucose into your blood to give your muscles energy for a physical fight or flight response.
But the physical fight never actually happens. You're just like sitting rigidly at your desk, vibrating with anxiety, and your blood is flooded with sugar that has nowhere to go, which leads straight back to insulin resistance.
It's a vicious cycle, and the statistics on this are just sobering. The book notes that between 75% and 90% of all human diseases are related to the chronic activation of this stress biology.
Wow.
But the flip side is deeply empowering. When your cells are properly fueled, when they have good energy, your brain is physically empowered to reject that fear and live boldly.
Right. Trying to be fearless with a broken metabolism is exactly like trying to run the most demanding advanced software on a smartphone with a corrupted 10% battery.
Yes, perfect analogy.
It doesn't matter how incredible the app is, the phone simply crashes. You cannot outthink or outmeditate a starving, panicked cell.
You have to fix the biological battery first, or the psychological software just can't run.
So what's one small habit we can build from this?
Practical habit number 7. Implement one daily grounding act. That could be deep, slow breath work, or immersing yourself in nature completely without a screen in your hand.
How does taking a few deep breaths actually fix the battery, though?
Well, deep diaphragmatic breathing acts as a manual neurological override for your nervous system. You are consciously stimulating the vagus nerve, which physically shifts your body out of that sympathetic fight or flight state and back into the parasympathetic rest and digest state.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it chemically tells your cells that the tiger is gone, allowing them to finally focus on internal repair instead of constant defense.
Which brings us to the end of our journey today. Let's briefly recap what we've uncovered. We explored 7 key takeaways, from recognizing that a singular cellular energy crisis is the root of most disease, the need to treat food as chemical code, dodging the unholy trinity of bad fats and sugars, understanding cravings as nutrient starvation, repairing our biological clocks with natural light, moving our bodies to avoid cellular atrophy, and ultimately unlocking true fearlessness.
And paired with those were 7 practical habits. Knowing your 5 biomarkers, eliminating liquid calories, swapping to natural cooking fats, eating protein and fiber first, getting morning sunlight, taking micro walks to bypass insulin, and practicing daily grounding.
When you look at it all together, it's just profoundly interconnected.
It really is. And if there's one inspiring reflection to take away from this book, it's this beautifully cosmic reality. We are literally made of sunlight.
Wow. Yeah.
That light energy is captured and transformed through plants into the food we eat, and then liberated inside our mitochondria as human energy. When we remember that the human body is not a static object, it's not a machine made of isolated broken parts, but rather a constantly flowing process intertwined with nature, everything shifts. We realize that true health isn't about popping a pill to suppress a symptom. It's simply about removing the modern barriers that block our innate cosmic energy from flowing freely.
If you enjoy learning from the world's best medical and health books, subscribe to Mosaic Health 40+ Arts.
Educational purposes only. Always consult qualified healthcare professionals for personal medical advice.
This deep dive was inspired by Good Energy by Dr. Casey Means with Callie Means and enriched with the author's interviews, lectures, podcasts, and public discussions included in this Notebook LM project. Because better health starts with better knowledge. Books, science, better health. See you in the next Mosaic Health 40+ documentary.
Getting back to where we started today.
The broken arm x-ray.
Exactly. We inherently crave that simple, visible proof of what's wrong with us. But maybe the real proof of health isn't something we can see on a clinical scan. Maybe it's in how we feel when we wake up, how resilient we are when we handle a stressful email, or whether we have the cellular energy to just, go for a walk.
The x-ray machine might be useless for chronic illness, but the instruction manual for our cells has been right in front of us the whole time. The only question left is, are you finally ready to start reading it?